Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Picks and Sticks podcast, a fun music podcast where four great friends talk about the music, bands, and songs that they love. I'm Mauro.
I'm Gordo.
I'm Cecil.
And I'm Huff.
And this is Picks and Sticks. In this episode of the podcast, we bring you 10 great songs from Social Distortion.
Welcome, everyone, to the Picks and Sticks podcast. Cecil's losing his mind already. We're into episode number 2. 2021 is the year for those scoring at home. Hopefully, everybody's doing okay. I want to remind you, you can get in touch with the show. We are here at Picks and Sticks podcast at gmail.com. And we may read your email, which we're actually going to do in a little bit. We're going back to back with Gord's Pouch.
Can't get enough of my pouch.
Right? You can't. And it's a brand new year, and I feel like we got to let that flow. And I also want to remind everybody that the playlists are available on Apple Music, YouTube Music, and Spotify. So basically, that ends up being our top 20 songs of each artist, and then we also add in our deep cuts at the end. And the links to those playlists are in the show notes. And if you use Deezer, Michael O'Coin's helping us out there by creating some the playlists on Deezer. And the reason I wanted to bring that up early, gentlemen, is because I have been listening to that Black Sabbath playlist that like it is unfucking real. I don't know if anyone else has been giving that a go, but I can't stop listening to Black Sabbath.
Dude, I'm totally with you. Sometimes I'm not sick of the bands we've covered, but I need a bit of a break.
Yeah.
Not so with Sabbath. I just doubled down. That playlist is spectacular. We got it right, boys.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we did it, and it's. What's funny is I didn't even realize, I'm such a donkey. I didn't even realize as we're focused on so many other things and trying to make sure we don't completely botch everything. As I'm listening to the playlist, I didn't even realize that the first 4 songs are the actual first 4 songs. I was like, this is awesome. I thought I was only listening to the album there for a second. I had to see what I was doing. So that tells you, obviously, the alcohol over the holidays.
Were the next 4 the second 4 the second side of Paranoid?
Well, yeah. How did that work out for you? Did you return that album? What happened with that?
Yeah, I returned it.
Did you?
Yeah, they took it back.
And I assume you got a replacement?
Yeah, I got a replacement. It was good. I asked if I should just keep it. Maybe it's some kind of collector's thing, and they were like, "No, I don't think so, man."
They just threw it in the garbage right in front of you?
No, they laughed. It was like, I've never seen this before.
They laughed. It's like a misprinted coin. They flipped it for 100 G's behind your back or something.
That's right.
Yeah, they're like, this isn't worth anything.
That's why I check my own lottery tickets now, because I'm afraid those guys are going to steal my fucking lottery winnings.
Yeah, you're down a couple of mil. I'm sure of it.
Yeah,
On
easily.
the playlist note, though, I've been studying a fair bit, so I had to take a break, and I texted you guys, but I threw the Jimmy playlist in, and I was just blown away.
Oh yeah,
It was good. It was so good, man, unbelievable.
Yeah, I hit that one pretty heavy there for a while as well. The Jimmy, which was funny because I was, again, not that we want to go back on old stuff, but I never really spent a lot of time listening to Jimmy. And as we got into it, man, all in all, I've actually really enjoyed the playlist. Hopefully the listeners are enjoying the playlist as much as we are. If nothing else, we're at least getting something out of it ourselves, because I find the artist playlists are awesome to listen to, especially if you've got a long drive ahead of you.
Since we've been doing this, I've become a music junkie, because every band now we listen to, I play our playlist and don't have to listen to the crap. So it's nonstop good tunes.
Yeah. And you know what else it's doing, though? It's costing me a lot of money. I think all 4 of us are in this a little bit, is now I'm going back on some stuff and because I'm addicted to music and listening to different stuff, and I'm buying vinyl all over the place. I'm sourcing out different stuff. Like I'm just, God, I've always got my wallet out, just handing guys money, just picking up vinyl.
No, What's the deal? What's the deal with the vinyl? Like, I can't like. What are the stats? Like, because I've been shopping for vinyl tons now.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of people doing it. Is it like the next fad? I don't know. Like, are people going crazy for vinyl?
I've heard
now?
it's picked up in the last 5 years substantially from 10 years, 15 years ago. Is kind of what I've seen, and I don't know if it's guys our age necessarily or what, but I know that business has picked up.
It's gotta be guys our age.
See, you know what the coolest thing about it though is, like, I don't like flipping through tunes on my phone or on my computer, and then when you go to the store, it's kind of like the old days. You flip through all the shit and you find what you like, and you know it's like an experience, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
nobody shops for music like that anymore. You just go to the fucking iTunes store and you're done.
I think there's something to be said too for listening to entire albums the way the artist wanted them to. Like, just
gonna say that.
I bought Zeppelin 4, like I mentioned, and it's just the side A is spectacular. Well, they're both spectacular, but the way that Zeppelin just puts the songs in the order, it's just fucking perfection. And I don't know, you don't get that when you're just flipping through singles, right?
Yeah. You know what else is funny too? Again, with the older artists, like I've been collecting a lot of Neil Young, a lot of Tom Petty, like a lot of just sort of, I'll call it mellower stuff, but like original, music. Is all the albums are like 35, 40 minutes long, right? Mm-hmm. And that's why when you buy new music, it comes on, there's 4 sides, right? 2 LPs, because they can't fit all the material on it, because the albums are making them, they're 60 minutes. Like the expectation is there's got to be at least an hour's worth of music. Whereas, you pick up an old, Neil Young album and it's 38 minutes and 42 seconds or whatever it is, right?
I can't go anywhere near a fucking record store now because I go to it. And then I buy a bunch of shit. I went to London Drugs and came out with 3 records.
What did you buy?
What did I buy? I bought, I bought the first Royal Blood because nice. Normally I wouldn't buy new stuff, but I love that album so much and they had it.
Good call. How much did that run you? Like $30?
No, it was like $24.
I might have to pick that up.
Nobody was buying it. I bought that, and they had Nirvana Bleach.
Oh, yes.
And Radiohead.
Pablo. I got Radiohead for Christmas.
Was it Pablo Honey?
No, I got the Benz, my favorite.
That's my favorite album, too.
Yeah.
And then today I was near the mall, and somehow I ended up in Recordland. Came out with Public Enemy.
Oh, which one?
Takes a Nation of Millions.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty solid. I was impressed. You got me a freaking sidetracked, Mauro, because I've been listening to Tribe Called Quest a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I know,
right? So to bring the listeners up to speed, so Mauro bought the album. And what was it? Was it warped or something was messed up with it?
It was warped. It was so fucking warped. I couldn't even play it on my record player.
Right. So we went back to Recordland where he bought it, and so they put it on. So as we're walking around and we're looking for music, they're playing this album, and it was like, I was like, oh, I forgot how good this song is, and then the next song comes on, and I was like, God damn, Mauro, you're a genius. Like, this is such a wicked album.
That's one of the most underrated hip-hop albums ever.
Which one was it?
If maybe not underrated even. It's so good.
Yeah, which album of theirs?
The first one.
The very first one, yes. I love Tribe Called Quest. We should probably do them soon.
Yeah. Well, you're right. We probably should. And who was the guy? Was it I don't remember his first name. Tinsberg, the guy that emailed in. Was it Ryan?
Yes.
Tinsy.
Yes,
okay, we'll give him the nickname. Tinsy. Wasn't he the guy that was asking about new artists? So, and I know that Royal Blood's coming out with a new album. I had it written down on it somewhere. But anyway, Royal Blood's coming out with a new album here pretty quick. That'd give them 3 albums, and I think we should add that into the list of new bands that we want to talk about.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Maybe we could do a combo, new album and some of the best songs from the other stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so I don't know. Do we want to call an audible here? We've had a little bit of conversation. I know the plan was to break out Gord's pouch. We're a few minutes into it. Do we want to start talking about today's band, or do we want to rattle off something real, dissect something quickly from that email you got, Gordo?
Well,
it's your
you know
call.
What? Why don't we quickly hit the pouch?
Okay, let's break out the pouch.
This is from Greg. Greg says, "Hey guys."
Not me.
No, different.
I didn't
Greg.
write this one.
You did not.
I'll write the next one.
Or his mom.
You didn't even change your name, man. Come on, you can do better.
This one from Greg Huffman. What?
So Greg says, "Hey guys, I just started listening to your podcast. It surprised me that 4 idiots sitting around talking about music could be both entertaining and informative." Well, thank you for that, Greg. Couple questions. Number one, in your opinion, what are some of the most overrated bands of all time? Very good. That sounds like an episode, maybe, Greg. But number two is what struck me, guys, and that is, what band have you would you have loved to have seen live during the prime of their careers? And this got me thinking, and I'll get you guys started. So I was thinking of bands that, in the prime of their careers that are not in their prime now. I would love to have seen Zeppelin in the prime of their career. I think, or the Beatles.
I was going to say the same thing.
I think seeing Zeppelin like around 71 would be incredible. You guys got anything off the top of your head that you'd love to have a time machine?
Gore.
It's a great call.
Sorry, can you clarify when the prime of their career was? What year was that?
Has anyone seen Gore?
I have.
Gore.
How was it?
Dude, it was unreal. It was unbelievable.
Was that a Mac Hall thing, or was that like the Night Gallery or something?
I saw
the
Westward Club.
Oh, I forgot about the Westward Club.
And
okay, it's a small venue.
Yeah, I walked in and I didn't know anything about them, but my friends told me I had to go. And I walk in and how they got those columns that are about 30 feet back from the stage? They were all covered in plastic. And I was like, what is going on? And so we got pretty close to the stage, 20 feet to the front. And 10 seconds in, I take a hit of fake blood right across the face, and I couldn't see. I'm wiping out the blood, and I'm like, what the hell is happening? And then dude pulls out a 4-foot fake dong. It was a great show. Dude, highly recommend. That was about 90, 93, 94. Unbelievable. Still the scumdogs of the universe.
Speaking of blood, was that you, amazing. Huff, at the Republic? We went and saw
Mal Havoc.
And that guy actually cut a pentagram in his chest.
Yeah. He pulled out a razor blade and cut a pentagram in his chest while singing a tune, and the blood was just pouring down his chest.
In a bar.
Yeah, at
a bar gig.
Was that at the Republic? That was the Republic.
At the Republic. I couldn't figure out if it was fake, but it
like wrestling fake.
Yeah,
like a guy came in with a chair and fucking boom.
Yeah, because you said the fake blood, and I was like, what about the real blood? That was fucking weird.
That was the craziest thing I think I've ever seen. And that was like small venue. Like it was like we were standing, because the way that the Republic is set up for everyone listening, like it's kind of at the back wall. There's a stage, and it's a tiny, tiny stage. Mm-hmm. And then you're standing. Well, realistically, you could stand about 2 feet from the edge of the stage. We weren't that close, but I bet you we were 10, 12 feet from the stage, and the guy starts carving up his chest. And there's like 30 people in the place. They were opening for Monster Voodoo Machine or something. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think
wonder
something
how,
like that.
What the interval is, like how often he can do that. Is it a once a month or is it once every 2? What's the healing time?
Yeah.
Probably not every show that happens.
It's not advised, kids. Don't do that.
He just picks a scab every show.
Yeah.
Well, I actually have a question now because you just brought up like Gord, you've played like all the venues in Calgary.
Good chunk.
You played the Night Gallery, you played the Republic, you played the Westward. You guys played everywhere.
Played the Live Wire.
Yeah.
Where was your favorite place to play?
Did you also played at the Mount Royal College too?
We did the university and the college. Yeah. Okay, my favorite place of all time that we ever played is not actually in Calgary. It was the University of Lethbridge. And the reason for it was the room there is massive and there's no real other rock bars in the whole town. So there was like 600 people at this show, and we opened for Chicks Dig It, which was a well-known punk band at the
Solid
time.
band.
Yeah, and a couple other bands I can't remember. There was like 500-600 people, and it was freaking chaos. I had the best time. So the U of L, high marks, but in town I'd have to say the Westward Club was pretty cool because there's been so many good bands through there, like Nirvana and Gwar, like we mentioned, and
Green Day,
like so many bands that are up and coming have been through there. It just, when I was there, it gave me kind of goosies. I'm like, shit, there's been a lot of good bands on the stage. We better not blow it.
Yeah. And then didn't Val's fall off the stage? Wasn't that the gig?
Oh, that's right.
Let's not fuck this up, boys. Next thing you know, thousands in the crowd.
I was a little wobbly that night too.
Yeah. We got to play there a few times.
I wasn't on the stage.
We almost burned that place down too. We were doing a show, and one guy had an idea about having for a stage prop a bunch of candles, and it looked cool, but he didn't buy the dripless. This freaking pinhead gets the norm. So we got like 50 candles, and there's wax everywhere, and I thought we were gonna burn that old place down.
You almost had a white snake on your hands.
That's right.
No, that was white.
Great white.
Light?
Sorry.
Great white.
Great white.
Yeah.
He had a white snake
I
in
always
his
get
hand.
mixed up.
That was after the show. So sorry, we'll try and get this back on track. See, outside of Gwar, is there any other band in their heyday that you wanted to see?
I guess probably you'd want to just sit there and watch Jimmy go. Watch the hands. Hey, you'd just be.
I think that'd be incredible.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Pink Floyd. Because I've seen them twice, but I never, and I saw Roger Waters separately. We talked about this in the Pink Floyd episode, but I never got to see the band. Like, I would have loved to have seen, like the Dark Side of the Moon tour, right? When the band was together with Roger, the whole that is probably pretty high on my list. And then honestly, something, I guess a little more recent would be Nirvana. I think it would have been awesome to be able to see that band. I don't even care what tour it was. Anytime to be able to see them. So,
what about you, Mauro?
Oh, I'd have to go with what you said. I would want to see Zeppelin right after Led Zeppelin 2.
Oh yeah, that'd be.
Because Led Zeppelin 1's my favorite Led Zeppelin album by far. That is just a killer fucking album, and 2 is so good too. So I would have loved to seen him back then. That would have been crazy.
I had a chem teacher back in the day that saw Zeppelin and Deep Purple, but he was like this nerdiest, like normal chem teacher dude. And you looked at him a little differently. You're like, dude, you saw Zeppelin back in '72?
Oh yeah, chem teacher. He was
fucking
making
legit.
the LSD.
Oh yeah, sure. You're a chemistry teacher.
yeah.
All through white.
The blue meth.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
So Huffman, I assume our listeners are intelligent enough to know what we're talking about today. They clearly clicked on it, and there's a title. But why don't you tell them what we're doing here today?
Yeah, so let's scoot into today's band. Today's topic is Social Distortion, affectionately known as Social D. Basically, Mike Ness, lead guitar, vocalist, very distinct voice, I would say. I was surprised that the band was formed in 1978. That seemed a little early, but I guess,
Isn't that wild?
It is wild. It would have been, I mean, they've probably got some early stuff, but obviously their first album, Mommy's Little Monster, didn't come out till 83, but it's, they're a California. Now, this is the question I wanted to ask you. Now, they're, I guess, a punk band. Would you call them, the spectrum of punk is obviously fairly wide. Are they a punk band? I mean, they're not really rockabilly, like they're not like a Reverend Horton Heat or like a Stray Cats or something like that, but they do have some, I would say, Elvis influences, and Elvis was a little rockabilly, right? There's some country in there, obviously. Cease, what were you going to say?
I find the country twang creeps in there in Prison Bound.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
The first one,
Yeah,
I think,
really
is
early.
straight punk. So even Young, they had I think there's 2 or 3 songs on that album have a country twang. But Mike Ness, in one interview, he described his sound, and you couldn't describe it more bang on. He said we're like the Ramones meets the Rolling Stones. And I was like, that's perfect, because the Stones have a little country rock.
Yeah, they do.
Well, they're more blues country, but but on the rock side, I guess a little more country than the Stones, Ramones, of course. But that sound summed it up the best through the listening.
Interesting mix.
I think they definitely start off like their contemporaries. I mean, we're talking about like, Black Flag and Bad Religion, Circle Jerks, that type of stuff, right? All around the same time, and they all do share like a definite like ancestor, if you will. But you're right. I think it was their second album, Prison Brown, in '88, where they definitely changed. But that first album was a punk album through and through to me.
Yeah,
It was a monster.
Yeah, and the production on it was very
limited
80s, and it was light. Like it was, I don't want to say tinny, but it I don't know. It was very 80s punk kind of sounding. I was looking at it too because I was trying to find, and I'll get into this a little bit later. I was looking at the band members, and again, they've had a million different band members. Mike Ness obviously being the guy that's been around. Some of their guys. So Johnny Two Bags, rhythm guitar. He's been with them since 2000. Brent Harding, bass player since 2005, and then their drummer since 2010. A couple of interesting things I want to bring up to you guys. I had to do my own research, which reminds me, if you'd like to join the research team, feel free to send your resume to picksandstickspodcast@gmail.com.
Relax.
So 5 former members have died.
Nice.
5.
Yeah.
3 bass players and 2 drummers. So they're kind of like Spinal Tap. And so if you get the call, if Mike Ness calls you, Cecil, if he calls you to play bass, the answer is no, because you're going to be dead.
Well, the one guy died from and it wasn't all drugs. Like one guy was on a motorcycle and got hit by a semi truck. Like
one guy had an aneurysm.
Yeah, just
so it was.
crazy
Yeah, it wasn't
shit.
like it was all drugs and alcohol.
LIVIN.
Right. And then this one I found interesting because we were just talking about this band, I don't know, a couple of days ago. There's a band, a very, we'll say, unknown band overall, popular in parts of California, but a band called the Cadillac Tramps.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a band, for the listeners, to bring you up to speed here, this is a band that again, was big in California, that area. And they toured from time to time. And we would go see this band all the time. They're an absolutely incredible band. For whatever reason, I don't know why they didn't make it, but you can now find their music.
They broke up.
on the popular apps. But Johnny Two Bags, was in Cadillac Tramps, and I did not know that.
I didn't know that till we were doing the listen through for this podcast either. And I was we were talking about the Republic, that bar earlier, and I actually was in a band that got to open for the Cadillac Tramps at the Republic one time. And so
that's insane.
I forgot about that.
I met them back. Sorry, it wasn't backstage. It was actually outside, beside the stage there. And they were just like the coolest dudes. They were like, they didn't have that air of superiority. They're just, hey, what are you guys doing? And I mean, I had to pay full price for my T-shirt. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
but
there's no discount, right?
I remember meeting Johnny Two Bags because I was impressed that with his guitar style, and I know that's not always easy being a punk guitar player, but I got to open for the Cadillac Tramps, and they were opening for the time for Pearl Jam.
Were they?
That's insane.
They were on the Pearl Jam tour, and they did a side show at the Republic. Yeah.
Oh, did you guys see Another State of Mind? You didn't watch that?
No.
Yeah.
You see
What
that?
is this?
Dude,
Yeah.
This is the most incredible. Okay,
You gotta
so
watch it.
Okay, educate me.
Okay, so it's 1982. It's documentary of Social Distortion's tour with Youth Brigade. Okay. And in Youth Brigade was Johnny Two Bags. And the footage though, they whip up through California, and then majority of the documentaries through their Canadian tour. And they get to Calgary, and right away the band members are saying, okay, best town we've been to yet. Best by far. The kids here are so nice. Really? And they were shacked up at a place, I looked it up after, and it's famous. It's called the Calgary Manor. It was on Crowchild Trail. They had to move it. And a lot of the footage is of them at the Calgary Manor, skateboarding on the half pipe. They show Ness working on like a new song, which happened to be Another State of Mind on his acoustic.
No shit.
It was so cool. And
where can I find this documentary? Is it on Netflix?
It's on Amazon.
It's on YouTube.
It's on Amazon.
Or YouTube.
Okay.
Sorry, YouTube. No, yeah, and they and then they show footage from a Winnipeg concert, which is phenomenal too. It's
No way.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But
if you want, you can borrow Conlon's VHS tape of it.
but yeah, so I watched that.
Serious.
There's a Cadillac Tramps documentary on Amazon, and that shows the Pearl Jam story, which they finished a tour, putting their instruments away, thought they were going to take a rest. Well, no cell phones, checking the answering machine. Manager's like, why didn't you call me back? Pearl Jam asked for you guys to open for them in Calgary. So I had to pack up their stuff, whip back up to Calgary. And they said their time was to go on. And Eddie Vedder was like, sit down, wait till the stadiums, wait till the crowd's all here, and held them off. And then he went out and he personally introduced the Cadillac Tramps.
I was at that show, dude. It was unbelievable.
There you go.
Max Bell.
They said that too. They said they saw Gord on that.
Maybe that's when they got their country influence.
They kicked off this guy that kept grabbing their leg. Get the fuck off me, kid.
Yeah, who's this guy?
That was an amazing show. Cadillac Tramps opened for Pearl Jam at Max Bell. Great video.
I think I was at the Republic show with you guys. Because I remember seeing them then, and I remember, I was at that one. I remember Gabby, the lead singer. We're talking about the wrong band now, but he was doing the backswim the whole time. That move was my favorite.
Oh, the backswim.
The backstroke.
That's right. Yeah,
that's the thing about that band. They were so polished and professional. Like
unreal.
You could just tell they were from another league, right? Like
No Doubt opened for them. Offspring opened for them.
Huh.
They got.
Well, they used to go
as much
bananas
street cred
on
as it
stage.
comes. Yeah.
We should just change this podcast to the Cadillac Tramps.
Yeah, why don't we just do that? Hey, but you know what? Like I loved that band, and unfortunately, there's probably similar stories, across the country, around the world that great bands that just for whatever reason never made it. But for those out there that I don't know are into that kind of California kind of. I don't know. They're a little more rockabilly, I guess, but they're surfer. I don't know. How would you classify the Cadillac Tramps? But in any event, check out some of their music. But the rhythm guitarist, Johnny Two Bags, is in Social D, who we're talking about today. So let's get back to Social D.
Well, this band.
One last comment on that documentary.
Yeah.
One of the Youth Brigade lead singer, he gives slam dance instructions, not mosh instructions. Slam dance.
That ties it back into like episode 2, I think.
Like an adult, we're slam dancing, son.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, Mauro?
I forgot how much I love this band. I haven't listened to him in so long.
Me too.
And I remember it brought back visual memories. And when I moved to Vancouver to do my music production stuff, I remember packing up the Cutlass with Conlon, and
the Cutlass.
Oh yeah, and I had that badass stereo in there. We drove from Calgary to Vancouver with all our shit. Right, I was going to school. He was going to do whatever, get a job, and the whole way there it was somewhere between heaven and hell.
Yeah,
and it was unbelievable. And we used to listen to Social D all the time, and I'd kind of forgotten that. So when I was listening to the band, I was in all the albums because I've listened to all of them so many times. It just brought back some huge passion for music in me. I don't know what it is about this band. So I just it's one of those bands where it's like I feel like the music is kind of a canvas for his stories, and he's a bit of a badass dude, and it's just I can't say enough about this band.
I'd say for me, my fondest part of this going down this process with Social D was, I'm embarrassed to say, I had not heard any of Hard Times and Nursery Rhymes. Released in 2011. I just, for whatever reason, didn't hear it, and I was deeply impressed with that album. Like,
yeah,
it was. That isn't a weak last album. Like, that is a solid addition to the whole library, man. Great.
Yeah, it
there's
really,
the first grade. Fuck, great album.
Well, and that's, you know, and I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves here to, you know, get to the list, but yeah, this is a band that, particularly with the self-titled album and everything after that, those are really the albums that, you know, the 5 albums that I really listen to a lot. And it just so happens that my favorite song comes from their last album, which is very strange, I guess I would say, for a band, you know, that you've listened to for whatever it is, 20 years or whatever, right? Normally you're like, you know, they kind of sold out, or as they get older, they don't resonate as much or whatever. But yeah, I'm with you there. I can pick songs off of every album. And like Mauro said, like for me, the memories that came back, particularly with Somewhere Between Heaven and Hell, we listened to a lot of that camping.
Sure.
And my wife, you know, loved that album as well. She doesn't necessarily agree with very much of my music, particularly now that she's a little bit older. But that was one of those albums.
What? She's 25, you idiot.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Would you guys also suggest, I'm just throwing this out there, but they don't actually have a weak album. Like, it's crazy. They have, with the 7 albums, they obviously have some better than others, but there was not one album where I'm like, this is kind of their free pass. It's kind of shitty. I thought there's good songs off each album.
I'd agree with that. Yep. Yeah, even the early I mean, the first 2 albums aren't my favorite, but then again, you know, there's especially the title track, Prison Bound, is awesome, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Well, one of the things that Mike Ness did, I watched another feature on him on YouTube. It was something called Chasing Tone or something. It's about his guitar tones. And they went from the like, he's always been a good songwriter. His lyrics have always been pretty cool, but his guitar tones, he sort of evolved those over time. And the new stuff, and he's in love with vintage Les Pauls. He never wanted to use a Les Paul. It's hilarious because he thought they were too heavy and he couldn't jump high enough on stage.
Physically too heavy.
Yeah, and they are heavy guitars, but then now he's got like a fetish for vintage Les Pauls, and it's all about tone. It's all about the wood. And you can hear it on the new stuff. His guitar tone is fucking brilliant. Like,
it really is.
What's the deal with that? What's the deal with the capo? Is it capo or capo? How do you?
That was capo.
Oh yeah, we got another guy with a bum finger.
Yeah. And then what's he do? How does he tune his guitar and the capo and all that?
Well, he tunes his guitar a half step down and then puts a capo 1 full step up. But he does it. He said he does it because his index finger is fucked up.
The 2 drummers are staring. What?
We're like,
well, no, because we talked about in Sabbath.
Motherfuckers chopping off your fingers and busting it like
his index finger is fucked up. He like cut the nerves with a knife when he was younger. So he has trouble playing with his index finger. So he plays the guitar a bit differently.
Huh.
But he plays through that Fender Bassman amp, and his guitar tone is just fucking balls to the walls in your face. I love it.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's very recognizable. It's
and I love his voice, his tone. And, you know, I did end up, and we should have, I think you mentioned before we started recording, Mauro, that we probably could have included Mike Ness's two solo albums, because I gave them a kind of a once over because I haven't listened to them, and they are very, to me, they're Social D with a different band, right? Like different players. Although I think Two Bags plays on the solo stuff. Yeah, they're a little more country.
Sure.
All right. There you go. I mean, we're kind of all over the place as we wing it. I think now would be a good time to get into the top 10.
Let's do it.
So the top 10 list, to bring everyone up to speed, there are 4 of us, of course, and we each produce our own top 20 lists. And then what we do is we feed those lists through the patented picks and sticks algorithm, and it produces a top 20. Well, it ranks all of them, quite frankly. And then we look at the top 10, and like I mentioned earlier, the top 20 end up in on our playlist, and then we'll add the deep cuts and stuff to that a little bit later. So
I will encourage everybody, if you're going to listen to this playlist, listen to all 20 songs, because they're all fucking so good. Anyway.
Yeah, and I bet you once this is all said and done, once we add the deep cuts, it's probably going to be, I'm guessing, around 27, 28 songs, maybe 26, somewhere in there.
Yep.
And yeah, give it a front to back, and I think it's a great mix. And there's some new stuff, there's some old stuff, there's some faster stuff, some more country stuff. It's a great mix of things, I
got a couple of nuggets for the deep picks too, because I phoned Conlon, who's the perennial Social D fan.
Oh yes,
seen him 7 times.
7.
So I figured I better check with the master. So he's got a couple picks that we'll add to the deep cuts later.
All right, I can't wait.
Before we get to the... Sorry, have any of you guys seen him live? Because I haven't. I didn't get to see him.
Twice, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen them twice. I was looking, so I keep all my ticket stubs. The only one I could find, and I think both times I was with you, Mauro.
Then I've seen him 3 times.
Okay, I've seen him twice, and I believe the most recent, the last time I saw him was 1997, which was just after the White Light, White Heat, White Trash. It was on that tour.
Nice.
And it was a spectacular show. The funny thing is, I brought up the set list because I was like, I can't even remember what they played, obviously. And I was looking through the set list, and they played 2 songs that are noted as being new songs that you can't find. So I don't know if they were like new songs that they were working out and they just decided to gas them. You can find them on YouTube. But anyway, I won't add those to the deep cuts because you can't find them. But they played at Mac Hall. Both times I saw them, they played at Mac Hall.
Nice. I saw them in the Vogue Theater in Vancouver, and it was fucking phenomenal.
Oh, that would have been a great place to see him too.
Every time I've seen him, Mike Ness has been in a fucking growly mood, and apparently that's a normal thing.
Yeah, I thought he was growly at the one that, like I said, so that was at that time they were going through a couple of drummers, and they brought in Chuck Biscuits for that tour. So Chuck's never been on he plays on the Live at the Roxy or whatever there's that live album that they did after the 96 album. He plays on, I didn't realize that Chuck Biscuits is Canadian. I read that on Wikipedia. Again, doing my own research sucks. So we need to get our research team back up to speed.
Maybe the best drumming name ever, Chuck Biscuits.
100%. And I love a lot of the stuff that he's done.
The first Danzig album, he kills it. Anyway,
yes.
That's
he played on all the Danzig albums, right?
Yeah, it's killer.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, let's start with number 11. I'm telling you, people, we don't make this stuff up. We actually do have 11 songs again. So tied for 10th place, and it's always a tie in 10th spot, but in any event.
A legit tie, no less, right?
It always works out that way. Yeah. So we've got from White Light, White Heat, White Trash, Don't Drag Me Down, which is, that whole album is sorry, is it okay if I go completely off the rails here? Because I was thinking, because it was at that time when I was kind of learning how to drum, and there were a couple of bands that I listened to, which kind of formed the way that I played. And one of the albums was White Light, White Heat, White Trash, and the other band was Pennywise. And I started thinking, like, I wouldn't call it. I don't know if it was a resurgence of punk around that time, around that early '90s, and those kinds of things. When you think like 1996, when that White Light album came out, I mean, the other punk albums that came out, like Sublime had their album, the first Goldfinger record came out, No Effects had Heavy Petting Zoo, Bad Religion had their follow-up. They had The Gray Race, like it was their follow-up to Stranger Than Fiction from a year or so before that. I mean, the Descendants had one. In '94 it was Dookie, Stranger Than Fiction, Out Come the Wolves by Rant. So like all in this.
And Pennywise was huge then too.
Pennywise was huge, and I listened to a shitload of Pennywise. So right in the middle of this sort of punk reinvention or whatever, and this was one of the albums that I loved because it was a faster. If you listen to that album compared to Between Heaven and Hell that came out 4 years earlier, like they're different.
I agree.
And the funny thing was that like I mimicked a lot of the drumming styles and stuff from there, and I was like, I got to find out who this drummer is, and it was a fucking session drummer. It wasn't even a guy.
Really?
Yeah, it was a guy by the name of Dean Castronovo, who no one's ever heard of. And he's not even credited on the album apparently. So I was sitting there and I thought, well, I love the drumming, and I'm going to probably bring that up maybe too many times, but Don't Drag Me Down it starts out with drums and a really wicked bass line, and then it kicks into that riff, and this is one of my favorite songs off the album. It's a kick-ass straight up punk rock song. Love it.
Oh, my favorite line is that I'm gonna go to the White House and paint it black. I'm like, oh man, did he write that last week?
Yeah. Well, it's funny how the more things change, the more they stay the same, right? There's a lot of bands, and there's a band that we're going to be doing in February. We'll talk about later that they wrote lyrics around this time as well, early '90s, and a lot of that shit's the same old, right?
I mean, you read any of his shit, he's really pissed off about the state of society, and that song's about that for sure.
It's a lot. His main two topics are exactly that, or love gone wrong. He's got there are more, we'll call them love songs or breakup songs or whatever it is. Like there's a lot of those, and a lot of really really wicked lyrics that he's written around those topics.
In our top 10, we got only 2 songs that start with down. Sorry, his top 20, they have 3 songs. So a lot of down on your luck songs.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay,
call,
and speaking of down
on the world, down here, and there's another one.
Yeah, okay. Oh well, yeah. Don't drag me down, which is the other one. Down here, down on the world again.
There
so there are
down,
3
down
in the top 10. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, I never noticed that. There you go. And the other song that was tied for number 10, while it doesn't have down in the song title, Born to Lose is kind of a not an uplifting song by any means, but Born to Lose, which is off the Somewhere Between Heaven and Hell album, which is another, I don't know, lyrically very very smart song, I would say.
I feel like it's the Coles Notes story of his life, really.
Yep. Yep, that's a good way to look at it. Sure.
Not to use another one of the song names, but it kind of sounds like it is.
I never caught that. Yeah, yeah, you're right.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
I didn't do that on purpose. But I do, when you read the lyrics, you're like, oh, fuck, man. I think everyone's felt like that. Like you read it and you go, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Born to lose. Fucking nothing's going right. Everything's going to shit. And that's kind of what the song's about. But
yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I don't, there's for a band that he has so many lyrics that are like a little bit of a downer, but the way that they put it together, it's like
there's an
invigorating music.
It's not whiny,
Yeah.
It's not whiny at all.
Yeah. There's it's not like he's crying or whining. There's something I don't know, there's something tough about it too, you know?
I think he does such a good job, and this might be the one of the bands, I guess, I won't say the band, but one of the bands that I've paid more attention to the lyrics than I traditionally would. And I think he paints such a good picture with his word. And Born to Lose is a good example. It's funny that it was a hot summer's night, a mid-July, a hangover, and a black eye, right? Like it's right, like the choice of the imagery, the choice of words that he uses. It's like it's not like a hot summer's night, mid-July, hangover. So you know how he's feeling. He's got the black eye, like I don't know. I think it's it's just a tremendous song as well. This next song, coming in at number 9, I'm interested to hear more about. This is a song that I enjoyed. It didn't crack my top 20, unfortunately, but so it didn't crack my top 20 or Cecil's, and then Mauro had it second. Gord had it 9. I'm talking about The Creeps from Mummy's Little Monster.
Yeah.
Great tune. I said it. God,
there you go.
Love it.
Ding, 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 ding.
That's a punk rock anthem, man.
Yeah.
This is a great representation of their early work, like Mummy's Little Monster, and it's my favorite song off that album. And it's got the double bass. I don't know how much Social Distortion has the double bass, but it's
good
got the
call.
double kick drum, and they don't sound like this on their second. This is the only album where they sound like this. And The Creeps is their probably best song. They sound like a lot of other SoCal bands at the time, but they did a heck of a job on this one.
Yeah, it's not the deepest lyrics. I think it's actually like 4 sentences in it.
Yeah. He's keeping it brief.
Yeah.
Just a little teaser.
I just want to give you the creeps. It seems as though I don't have a problem doing that, so maybe that's why I relate to it.
Yeah, Mauro's anthem. That's why he had it number 2 on his list. He was like, "Man, this song is really speaking to me." It's funny. So that's the number 9 song that Gord and Mauro had, and then the number 8 song, Gord and Mauro didn't have that song, and this is the song that me and Cease had, and we had this song fairly high. And I got to be honest, when we put all the lists together, I thought I had this song on my list because I really liked it, and then I took it off, and then I put it back on. The song's called Bakersfield. Hard Times and Nursery Rhymes is the album, and I thought I was going to be the only guy that had it. And Cecil had it up at number 3. I had it number 8 on my list. But just a country style. I have a hard time explaining this band because, in one sense, I love the Don't Drag Me Downs that are just like really rockin' fast, in-your-face punk rock songs. And this Bakersfield song, I couldn't stop listening to it.
Some great spoken word in the middle of it too.
Yeah.
But it's about being away from home, and wanting to come home. So I change the word to Douglasdale when I sing it.
The Douglas.
It actually works out. It's got the right syllables.
Yeah.
It's really reminiscent of his solo stuff.
Yeah, you're right.
Right.
Yeah.
And it is an outstanding song for sure. I love it.
One of their prettier songs.
I think every song that everyone else had on their list, I had on my. I ended up with 58 songs on my
58?
playlist. 58.
Well, let me see what I got
58,
here.
and I had to delete some because I was like, this is just too much. But
58.
Yeah,
Bakersfield was in there.
I at 42.
Yeah, I was 35.
Yeah, it was definitely challenging, but it's again as the listeners listen to the playlist, so we'll move up to number 7, which is Down on the World again. Again, going back to White Light, White Heat, White Trash. In the order of things that they're going to go, it's going to go Down on the World again, and then which is this song is again, it's a straight ahead punk rock song, right? It's got a great little solo in it. We go into Bakersfield, and then we go to the Creeps. Like it's going to be a really cool playlist when we get it all together.
I really like the big sonic opening. It's a little different for them. They just it's not your typical Social D formula, if you will, right? I don't know what it is about this song. It's just got a nice big fat opening. It's not a riff. You know what I mean? It's a lot of heavy chord.
Yeah. Yeah. Good call. Yeah. For whatever reason, I never noticed that we were that heavy on this album. And the number 6 song is also from that album, called Down Here. And then in brackets, With the Rest of Us. That's not my favorite song, so I didn't have it. It didn't even make my short list of however many I had it. But on the flip side, Gordo, you had it second on your list.
I did. I don't know what it was. This song just totally spoke to me. It's got it's a bit of an anthem.
Yeah.
It's got the slower big guitars, and it's got the line, "You're working for the man," and it really is. It's just a working man song. It's about working, coming home every day, but doing the right thing for your family, not getting credit, and just go grinding it out, brother. Grinding it out.
Just chipping away.
And but it's down here with the rest of us, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like a fall from grace or something. I read the lyrics and I was like, fuck.
That's funny. I read the lyrics on this one too. Like, I had to. I don't know what it is. It's just a good working man song that I related to, and it's catchy, right? So.
Yep.
His guitar tone in that is like so prominent.
Definitely. Yeah, you can definitely hear it.
He plays some pretty thick chords, and then he plays through that Fender Bassman, which was originally designed for a bass amp. So that's why his guitar is just like booming.
Yeah. Yeah, it has a big, thick opening. I really like that one.
Okay.
Now we're down here with the rest of us.
There you go.
All right, as we slide into the top 5, so Cold Feelings comes in at number 5. That's from Somewhere Between Heaven and Hell. This song, I want to say this was the first Social D song that I heard.
I had those after my 40th birthday. Woo-wee.
Cold Feelings?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah. Yeah,
Sorry,
this song, I hear this song and it just reminds me of camping. It's like I can smell the campfire as the song's playing.
That's awesome.
This is the first cover tune we learned, Mauro?
Cold Feelings,
Huffman, isn't it?
I don't know. It was
You gotta know the rules.
Got all the rules.
Oh, yeah,
right.
gotta know the rules.
Had to have been a Misfits song.
This was the second Social Distortion song
Social
we learned.
Distortion, man.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot that we played that a little bit. We'll move into number 4, Story of My Life.
I just wanted to say something about that.
Back up. My bad.
That's about him getting sober.
Cold Feelings?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
The DTs?
Yeah. He got sober between the first and second album, if I'm not mistaken. That's why there's such a delay from from the albums, because it went from
between the
83 and then 88. Prison Brown came out in 88, so there's 5 years there. There's kind of 2 lost years there for him, where he was just going through some tough times. I believe it was heroin or whatever. But anyways, I think you're right, Mauro. That is about that time.
It's about how numbed his feelings were, and then he had to feel them again, which is fucked up.
Makes sense. Well,
either that, it's about Sunday night before you have to head to the office. When you can't sleep.
It's one of those two things.
It's one of those
two things. Well,
do you ever get that?
Yeah.
Laying awake at night.
What do we got next, buddy?
Number 4 is Story of My Life from the self-titled album.
Oh, good La La La's.
This is probably peak rockabilly right here, right? Like this, the most rockabilly you're going to hear in a Social D.
It's almost doo-wop.
It does have that. It's got that, that kind of love song. The girl from high school that never noticed him, and he goes through wondering what she's doing now, stuff like that. It's a reminiscent kind of type song. I love there's a line in there. If anyone's ever gone back to an old neighborhood that you used to live in, or if you've changed cities and you go back to that city or whatever. But that line in there, the pool hall I loved as a kid is now a 7-Eleven. That just, it's like, I don't know. It just that whole song. I just love the whole storytelling in that song.
He might write more reflective songs than any other band we've done so far, right? Like
I agree.
He's very nostalgic, very reflective, and not in a sappy way either. Some of them there's a lot of points to be made, like whether it's political or whatever. But I don't know. He seems to just hit the nail on the head, like you said earlier about the summer and the black eye and stuff. He does a good job painting a picture.
He does a great job, and
he creates good visuals.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He evokes emotion too, because and when you listen to the song, it's like, oh yeah, you kind of reminisce about the old times, because you always you go through your life always thinking the old times were so much fun, right? Which they were, but I was kind of like, oh yeah, it kind of made me remember about shit we used to do.
It's funny reminiscing about him reminiscing, right?
Well,
yeah.
And I think that's what to go back to the song that we talked about earlier, Bakersfield, I think that's one of the reasons why I like that song so much. It has that misty feel to it. It's a slower kind of country style tune. And I don't think any of us would consider ourselves to be country fans, but there's just something about that kind of brings it all together. Number 3, we're going back to White Light, White Heat, White Trash, Dear Lover. Is that the opening track on the album? I should know that. I think it is.
Yeah.
Is it not?
Dear Lover.
Oh, and this is interesting to me because Dear Lover was both the number 1 songs for Gordo and Mauro.
Yeah, I was absolutely shocked, and I'm not calling you guys out, but I was shocked that you and Cecil didn't have this on your top 20. I thought this was a shoe-in number 1 song, if not for everyone, then at least our list. And I think this is everything that's great about Social D. It's got a great intro, then a bit of a time change, and it's just a pounding riff that is so catchy and memorable.
The drumming's great in it.
The drumming is great in it. I'll give you that. Yeah.
It's just the whole beat of the song is just driving, and I love his singing. He sings really high, almost out of his range when he tries to sneak in a really high, dear lover. He tries to sneak that.
Oh yeah,
and it sounds. I don't know what it is about this song, but it is miles ahead
the pain no
of
more.
my number 2.
Hey,
it's too sad for me. Sad.
It is a sad song.
It's like very. I couldn't figure out what it was about. Is it about abuse?
I think it's about. Okay, here's my take, and I could be wrong. I could be way off the base. I think it's a song about him. Oh, yeah, my dog's gonna bark, stealing my.
Oh, it's Beastie Boys.
Jane's Addiction.
I think it's a song about him like remembering a breakup after his rehab. Like he's coming to terms with it like way later, and I could be wrong here, but there sounds like he's been disconnected for a while, and he's like, "Holy shit, I'm not with her anymore."
I felt like it was love gone wrong until it comes to hear the screams so loud, wake up to the broken glass.
Yeah,
it's a scene from bad to worse. I was like, okay, well that seems a little bit. Yeah, you could be right.
Just my feeling. I could be talking my ass, but. It's definitely a sad song.
I wouldn't have picked it a long time ago as my favorite song, but right now it is. It just like you said, Gordo. Everything about it, I love it. It's just a well done song altogether.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah. It's weird to have a song that's sad and kind of emotional, if you will, but yet so driving and catchy. There's a kind of a dichotomy there. It's weird. In that respects, right? But
that's what I love about this band.
Yeah, they're complicated. They're much.
They're complicated.
There's way more depth there than I remember when I first listened to them. Right? it's peeling away the onions, son.
You just think about them as a punk band, maybe, or a rock band, and I think they're a lot more than that.
I do too. I didn't appreciate them as much as I do now.
One of their guitar players that got booted for the original when they brought the. I got my bands mixed up. I'm talking about
Cadillac Tramps.
Can you buzz yourself? Buzz yourself.
Yeah, buzz yourself.
Buzz yourself.
Buzz yourself.
We need a gong.
There it is.
There it is.
There it is.
Bueno.
That's hilarious. Too greasy for punk and too punk to be greasy was his phrase. That kind of applies to them, though, right?
Yeah.
He's a bit of a grease monkey.
Yeah, totally.
Grease monkey.
Yeah, he's got his cars and shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. There, that's my own take then.
That's a good take.
Yeah.
I'm on board with that. That's a
Yeah,
good
why
one.
not?
Yeah.
Right? All right, we're heading into the top two.
I had an edible. Sorry.
This, and again, this is "Alone and Forsaken" is the song that came in at number 2. It's from their final. Well, it might not be their final album, but their last release from 2011.
And you had this
Hard
number
Times.
1, Huffman.
I had this number 1. And again, this goes against probably any other band.
You got some explaining to do.
I do, because they do have so much good material and so many great songs. I didn't even realize until yesterday that this was a cover song.
This is, yeah.
It's
By
it's
a legend.
It's a Hank Williams song. And so I thought I was going to have to call an audible, but I listened to the Hank Williams song. By Picks and Sticks standards, Social D does make it better.
So old.
Yeah, I mean, lyrically, it always got me, and I recognize that Mike Ness never wrote the lyrics, but it's funny that, because he does have that country influence, I would imagine Hank Williams was one of those guys that he probably draws influence from. And the songwriting styles are kind of similar, to be honest. Again, the songwriting, the vivid imagery in that Hank Williams paints is awesome, and I think Mike Ness probably copied a bit of that. Sure. So I didn't even realize that it wasn't. Sometimes you can tell, right?
So there's a tell in it though. He sings about a whippoorwill, which is a bird, a whippoorwill. So
yeah,
I saw that. I'm like, well, that's in "I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry" by Hank Williams as well. So,
okay.
So
then down another stinking rabbit hole. I look up. I'm reading about the whippoorwill, which is sang in many country songs, and their habitat is like southeast states. But there's what I found kind of funny was a little vein of their habitat that stretches up into Canada, goes straight into Saskatchewan. So it's like it's a country. It's a country bird.
There you go. So, all right, Gord, you're trying to get a word in.
I'm sorry. Before I realized this was
excited,
a Hank Williams
dude.
cover, I'll read you my note that I wrote here.
Settle down.
This reminds me of something I
Turn
can't
the
put
smoke machine on again.
This reminds me
You're
I can't
going
put my
Beastie
finger
Boys
on.
on us.
Is this a nursery rhyme or something? I was like, what the hell is this reminding me of? Yeah. Apparently Hank Williams in my head reminds me
You wanted
of
to interrupt
nursery
my
rhyme.
whippoorwill story for that?
Yeah, dude. It's not like they're endangered or anything. Get over it.
Well, maybe they are.
Maybe they are.
Yeah,
They probably are.
I think the spin that Social D put on this, the intro is just it's Mike Ness vocal and his guitar. Just I don't know this song, and I've gone through stages of when I listen to a lot of Social D, and then I'll go years without it. But this song has never come off of my iPhone. It's the only song that I always keep, and I never get tired of it. Where I could get tired of hearing, "Story of My Life" or "Born to Lose" or something like this. I can't get tired of this song. It's one of my favorite all-time songs.
Solid pick.
I can't say anything about it. That's why when we were talking about it earlier, I was pushing for it because I was going to be sad if it didn't make anyone else's list. So I was impressed, Gordo. You had it pretty high on your list as well. You had a third.
Yeah.
See, so you came around on some of the later material,
I totally did.
especially considering you probably never heard it before, though, right? Like you said, you hadn't heard the album.
I hadn't. And I'll reiterate how impressed I was with that album. It's a really solid album for those of you who haven't heard it.
Yeah. So the number one song is "Bye Bye Baby" off of Heaven and Hell. I was the only guy that didn't have that on his list, so I'm the donkey that didn't. So I'll let one of you three guys talk about it because it's not a song that I love.
Well, he's doing something I should have done a lot of times. Get rid of a toxic girlfriend.
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
Yeah. I don't know which part to comment on. There's a lot I want to comment on, but...
Well, I'm not saying right now.
Okay.
But in the past,
I would say this is
past.
definitely a typical...
Everyone can relate to that.
It's definitely a typical Social D song. It's a straight up rocker that's really catchy.
You've dated a few biatches, haven't you?
There's been a couple regretful ones, yeah.
What did Huff call it? The stage... What did you call it?
Stage 5 clinger.
Yeah. It's just getting rid of that shit. That's a great song.
Carlin, you had it...
Bye, baby.
You had it pretty high on your list, too.
Yeah, C's had it 6 on his list. Gord was 4, Mauro was 8, and I was nowhere to be found.
What did you like about it, Cease?
There's nothing too serious about it. It's just a good song to dance to.
Yeah, like Mauro heard some depth that I didn't. I just thought it was a straight up Social D rocker that I really like. Absolutely.
All right.
You and your evil ways gotta go.
Is that?
Yeah.
That should be a bumper sticker.
Well, maybe the others will believe your lies. Maybe I'll catch you later down the line because maybe I got better things on my mind. Reminds me of that Jimmy tune. Which one was it?
Hey, Joe.
Yeah, they're very similar.
They go together.
All right, so there's the top 11/10/11. So it's counting it backwards. Don't Drag Me Down, Born to Lose, The Creeps, Bakersfield, Down on the World Again, Down Here, Cold Feelings, Story of My Life, and then the top 3 are Dear Lover, Alone and Forsaken, and Bye Bye Baby. And that brings us to, this is going to be interesting because, so this is the egregious omissions and points of contention part of the program. And, you know, really because we were all over the place individually in terms of what songs we liked, what we didn't like. I couldn't really, nothing really jumped out at me because it's not like this isn't a band that had a bunch of hits and we've missed out on a bunch of hits. Mm-hmm. The only maybe one that kind of jumped out at me was Angel's Wings, which was it was fair, kind of popular. Like I don't know, but I know Mauro, you said off the top you've got an egregious omission, so maybe I'll just hand it to you here.
It's borderline, but okay, I think Another State of Mind is pretty close to an egregious omission.
Another State of Mind.
That's off of what album?
Yeah,
is that?
and I think
Somewhere.
I think it's an egregious omission because none of us picked it.
What album is it off of?
Mommy's Little Monster.
Okay, I'll accept that.
Yeah, that's in that. Again, I think
that's what the documentary is called too.
He's writing that song. Yeah. It's showing him writing that song on his acoustic.
I feel like that song deserves some love.
Part of it was written right here in town.
Yeah, it was written in Calgary.
No, I didn't know that. Did you have it on your list?
No. Nobody had it. Not one person.
Oh. Hey. All right. Well, we clearly fucked that up.
We got room for 20, man.
Does Bad Luck fall into an egregious omission type category?
I don't know. The problem is that whole album is phenomenal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's almost like the whole album could be a top 10 itself. It's so good.
And this is a stretch. This is a stretch, but I would say like the way that it flows and the way it almost seems like songs are played. Like I can hear the order. It again, and maybe it's just because we just did Black Sabbath. It reminded me a little bit of that when I looked at that album. I had almost every song on there at one point as a song under consideration. Like Between Heaven and Hell and White Trash or White Light, White Heat, White Trash. Those two albums, I could, if those were the only two albums that they would have put out, it would still be one of my favorite bands.
Springsteen said in a Rolling Stone interview. Well, he's a big Social D fan, and
I didn't know that.
In '92, he said Heaven and Hell is best record of the year, his favorite album.
Oh, yeah. Really?
Yeah. That was my favorite record that year, too.
In '92, that's high praise.
Yep, the boss loves the Social D.
Huh. All right.
That makes sense. Yeah. I was gonna make a comparison. He's a little bossish.
Oh, nice.
Bossish. Bossy.
Well, I think rather than try and search for egregious omissions, I think in this particular situation, I don't think there really are a lot that fit, if that's fair to say. So maybe let's get into deep cuts, seeing as we're kind of in that time frame here. Who wants to start us off with some deep cuts? And I'm sure there's only one instrumental that I came across. I'm sure one of you donkeys is going to pick that fucking instrumental and going to snap.
I did not, just to let you know.
I thought the same thing. I thought for sure you'd pick it because I almost picked it. It's awesome.
Well, why don't you go first then? Let's just pick it. Let's do it.
No. Right. I can't remember what it's called.
I can't either. Shit. Well, What's I'll get it started then. I'm going to go with I Was Wrong.
Yeah, you're right. You were. Like a million times.
That's just so aggressive. I Was Wrong off of White Light, White Heat, White Trash.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of radio friendliness to it. It's very catchy. I think that's a very decent deep cut for those of you that like the catchier side of the Social.
It was a radio hit, wasn't it?
I think it charted. I don't know if it was high up, but
I think
it was on there.
Yeah, you know what? I remember now that you mention it. I remember playing it at CJ. It did for a short period of time. It did.
It hit briefly,
get some
right?
radio play. Yeah, it did.
Okay,
I forgot about that. My memory's terrible.
Off the same album, I really, really like this song, Untitled. It's a lot different for them, and it's got a lot of. It's not your typical catchy Social D song. It's got a lot of atmosphere and stuff. It's a great song. He probably couldn't title it because it's not their typical stuff. So I got those two as well as Machine Gun Blues, which is completely different than.
I had a feeling you were going to pick that one.
Did you know that? So right off of their album Hard Times and Nursery Rhymes, I really liked that song.
I do
love
too.
that song.
Yeah, and this was one of those songs that was all over the place in terms of my rankings, and
Me too.
I was trying to fit it in, and I think at the end of the day, it got pushed out. But I did notice that you had it in your top 10, Gord. So I was hoping you were going to add it because I think it does need to be on the playlist for sure.
Thank you, sir. That's my three, but
those are three outstanding choices.
Thank you, sir.
Well done. Gold star.
Participation badge.
Cecil.
Yeah.
Have you got a deep cut or two for us?
I might go 3.
3 is acceptable.
If we got time.
We do.
Why not? They're punk rock songs. They're not that long.
It's our podcast.
Do you have time? Do you have time?
That's true. On My Nerves. I believe that's on Mommy's Little Monster.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, no, that's on the next one. That's on Prison Bound, sorry.
Prison Bound.
Yeah, that one, just a good, anyways, I can't summarize it. It's just a great punk tune. Good balance of the solos, riff and bass, and I just find myself singing it all the freaking time, especially when something gets on my nerves. Indulgence is another good punk song. That one's as well as on Prison Bound. That one is it's only 6 sentences, but it sums up just your inner voice if you're struggling with a vice, or an addiction. But one kind of almost hits in the feels, and there's a little dark side to it. It's subtle, but that one moves me a little. And then my last one, Anti-Fashion, another punk song.
Dude, I almost said that one.
Well, that's off Mommy's Little Monster, yeah?
That's a great song.
That is a good song.
Is it off Mommy's Little Monster?
I think it is.
Prison Bound.
Is it? That's off one of the first two. I don't remember.
It's off of Mommy's Little Monster.
Yep. That's off Mommy's Little Monster. Yeah. See, Anti-Fashion almost I got a take on that. When anti-fashion becomes fashion. I had like a friend when I was younger that would like, I don't know, let's say I wear, like, say I had Prada sunglasses, like, oh, did that match your purse? And then claim to be like would not follow the masses and do what he wants. Yet, fucking dyed hair and the punk rock look. So it's like anti-fashion becomes fashion. You know, you're trying to be like these people trying to be like acting like they don't follow society, don't follow the norms. But by being like the opposite, you're it's the same thing as following, because you're letting, like, you know what I mean. If you're just the opposite, it's like it's the other side's dictating what you're trying to do. I totally word that horribly.
No, dude, that was perfect.
But you know what I mean? It's like people trying not to fit in. You go to be yeah,
they're being counterculture, but they're following the rules of that. So yeah, and you're right.
There's a paradox to it.
Yeah.
That's all I should have probably said.
It's a paradox, and it's a straight up punk rock beast. Like, that is a punk rock song. There's no bass. It's like no bass. It's just trebly boom boom ba-dum bum bum ba-dum bum bum. Yeah.
Yeah. And I probably shouldn't have took that edible before the show. God damn.
No, I think you're on point, brother.
Yeah, it's kicking in right around the deep cuts.
It's like 1,000 milligrams. It's in droplets. Like I draw a bottle. Thought it'd be safe.
I think it was a good call.
All right, kids. Again, don't try that at home.
It's legal here.
Yeah, it is. I'll go next. I hate to go. There's one song that I'm not sure if Mauro's gonna.
I just go, pick. Man.
What's
I got about 18 songs. So
okay, well that's good. Maybe there'll be some overlap here, but this goes back to our white light, white heat, white trash love. But Through These Eyes is one of my favorite songs off of that album. That intro, just, you know, Ness's vocals with kind of a guitar strumming and then just hats, right? And then it goes in again into a straight ahead rock song, and the drumming on it is great. It's a good tune. Great song. Let It Be Me, I'm going to take off the self-titled album. It's got that guitar solo intro. It's a little bit of a chant song. Let it be me. Let it be me.
Oh, yeah. That'd be great at parties, right?
Right. That's a song that I can't get enough of. Don't Take Me for Granted is off of Sex, Love, and Rock and Roll. I'm taking that. Those were the three, and then I was trying to stick to three, and then I got to go back to White Light. And a song called Pleasure Seeker that I think is an underrated song of theirs. That
heavy.
Yeah, it is heavy. And so anyway, I'm going to throw that in. Sure. So I kind of cheated. I took 4 on that.
Before we get into Mauro's, would you guys be surprised, or would you even agree that White Light was our favorite album? Like, I didn't realize before the process that album for me was going to be my favorite. And it really stuck out to me. Did you guys feel that as well? It seems to be getting some love on our. It
is
podcast.
One of my favorites. It is, but then the more I listen to everything else, the more I realized it's like a slim margin.
It's not ahead by a country mile. That's for sure.
It will always be. And there's a lot of albums around this time frame, just because, again, in 96, you know, we were in our own sort of bands doing our own thing. So, you know, Gordo, you were with a bunch of other guys, but me and Mauro and me, Mauro, and Cecil were together.
I wasn't
along
paying
with
attention.
Brent.
What are you talking about?
Fuck off. Let me finish my thought.
Had a face.
Me and Mauro and Cecil were in a band together with Bren, and we listened to this album quite a bit. We played we played one song off of it. It was just this album just is attached to a certain time in my period where we were really having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that was legendary times,
right?
man.
legendary times. We had like great times. So this album, once I started listening to it again, and the only song there are 2 songs off this album that didn't make my list. One was Dear Lover, which is funny. That was number 3 on our list. It's never been one of my favorite songs. And the other one was Under My Thumb, which is the remake. And I'm just not I'm not big on that song to begin with.
They broke the cover rule. They didn't make it better.
Yeah, they did.
It did not make it better. So anyway, that's a long answer to a short question, but this is an album that I'll always love, I think.
That's great. I didn't have that love at first, and I definitely have it now. Now, I'm dying to hear Mauro's deep cuts.
Yeah, Mauro, what have you got? What do you got? Deep cuts.
Well, I have to say a few things. One, because when I listened to the playlist, and the second songs, whatever, 11 or 12 through 20 are fucking phenomenal. So I have to like give a shout out to a couple of those.
Okay.
Drug Train. About the fun of doing drugs and the ensuing misery to follow.
What?
Hey, Cease?
Oh, shit.
The pleasure and fun of drugs. And So Far Away. And you had this one too, Huff.
Oh, yeah.
Because for me,
So
that song,
good.
it's about trying to prove something to someone else. And, you know, I'm not going to say I spent a lot of time doing that, but I spent a lot of time doing that.
Yeah. No, yeah. I'm glad that ended up coming in at number 13. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are on the list.
Yep.
But for deep cuts,
Yep.
I don't have to pick Another State of Mind because that's to me an omission, but I'm going to say it anyway. And we talked about Gotta Know the Rules, our first cover tune. But I Want What I Want from Prison Bound. And it's a fairly obnoxious song, but it's a great song. It's good. So I Want What I Want from Prison Bound. And then I went to the Social D master, Mr. Conlon Wood. Mm-hmm. And he brought out a couple. One was Gotta Know the Rules, which we've already said, and it's on the list. But he had Nickels and Dimes.
Yes.
Yes. Good
Yes.
call. Good call, Con.
King of Fools.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, which I think.
Yeah.
And then he had an obscure one, which is a bonus track on the newest album. It's I Won't Run No More. And I listened to it before the podcast, and it's fucking phenomenal. So
It's a bonus track?
it's like a bonus track on that album.
Really? I actually can't recall hearing that one.
Yeah, when you hear it, you'll like
I'm
it.
feverishly typing to.
Yeah.
I don't.
I Won't Run No More.
Huh. Okay.
And anyway, so
if you don't mind me asking,
there it is.
What was Conlon's take on the latest album? Did he give any insight to that?
but he's always been he was telling me he saw Social D 2 years ago at the House of Blues in Chicago.
Nice.
So,
Wow.
you know, he's been a Social D fan from the days we started listening till today. So I think he pretty much loves it all. And him and I used to listen to a lot of Mike Ness as well. So
I remember that. You used to have and I've never listened to the solo stuff, which is weird. I don't know why I would do that.
great camping.
I remember
music.
seeing there's the one CD cover where it's 2/3 of it is a picture of him, and then on the right-hand side is basically a listing of all the songs that are on the CD. I remember seeing that at your place all the time.
It's like old school. They did that in like the 50s.
Yeah, and I've never listened to it, but I think I should probably do that. So,
Wow.
Well, it's like I said, as far as camping music goes, you can't find better.
Oh, agreed.
well, I will say we've outdone ourselves, gentlemen, because we thought that the playlist was going to come around at around 26 to 28 songs, and we actually hit 31. So for those that are betting at home, I hope you took the over.
Lucky 31.
Yeah, we're going to come in at 31. But again, the playlist is going to be awesome. So make sure that you do check that out. So we hope you enjoyed this episode.
Yeah.
Social D, it was awesome.
It was awesome.
Yeah,
Cecil D.
Cecil D. If you did enjoy it, make sure you tell your friends, your family, your neighbors, your coworkers about it. As always, we do appreciate your support. And don't forget, you can email the show at picksandstickspodcast@gmail.com. We may even feature your email in an upcoming episode of Gord's Pouch.
Nice.
Don't miss an episode. You can subscribe to the Picks and Sticks podcast. You find us everywhere: Spotify, Apple, Google, Stitcher, Amazon, Pandora, and so on and so forth. And
please send us mail, because Gord's Pouch is shrinking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. It is. It's not full enough. So next episode. Actually, you know what? Let's talk about what's coming up in February. February, we've got a couple of great things coming up. So first and foremost, we're bringing you a Valentine's Day special.
And it is special.
It is. It's going to be outstanding. I'm compiling some of my lists. So I will tell you, it's not going to be a bunch of Peter Cetera and love ballads. I don't think it might be. We're allowed to pick whatever we want, but it's going to be a Picks and Sticks style Valentine's Day.
I feel like we need.
What do you feel?
I feel like we need a recipe on that episode. Something to cook for.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
To cook for your significant other, whoever or whatever it might be.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That'll be maybe the return of Martha Stewart. And I do know that I did get a shout out from Michelle Zubik, who said that she was looking forward to the Picks and Sticks cookbook. So whenever we get that put together and out in bookstores, we'll make sure that we give away a few copies to the listeners. So that's one of the items coming up in February. The other thing that's happening in February is Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Yeah. So keep an eye out, keep an ear out, whatever I'm supposed to say there, for those 2 episodes. And thanks very much for listening. And until next time, see ya.